Hey everyone, this is Nick from NXT Plants. Today I'm going to be going through some of my props and plants I'm getting ready to sell. I figured this would be fun to go through a bunch of the things I've been propping behind the scenes and sort of give an update now that they're getting into sellable shape. Okay, I think I'm going to start out with the ones I want to get back into the bin the most because they're super sensitive. First thing is, I've got this Clytemioides here. I've said this a few times, but it's a very different anthurium. It has pretty long internodes, and it binds around much more like a philodendron or a pothos. It's got beautiful leaf texture. I'd say all around it's a very good grower. Super fast, very cute, and the leaves get a bit bigger than this. Okay, I think next up we've got corrugated on the brain. I'm going to talk about Quechua Queen. So it's a hybrid of Marmoratum and Regulosum. It's a pretty nice texture. I took these props a few months ago. One nice thing about the plant is it has pretty solid internodes, so it's pretty easy to cut between the nodes. It makes things when you're propping a little bit easier, because some anthurium have such tight nodes that you really can't get a knife in between them. I've got this little guy here, same Quechua Queen, and it's got very different leaf when it's this size. Cute little ruffles. Still though. This one, I'm not sure if it was the butt, but you can see it's put out 2 leaves and this one's put out 1 huge leaf. I guess, continuing the corrugated theme, we've got this random Endopap luxurians. I think this is a prop of one of the plants I grew out from Dustin that I liked. Yeah, I have a bud of it, so I grew it out and it's been going solid. It doesn't really look like much yet, but when it grows up it gets pretty dark. So yeah. Next thing I'm going to talk about this dark phoenix. So this is a prop of my mother plant. It was a long time to grow this leaf, but yeah, I took it because I wanted to, and I think I'm going to sell the other one. But it's actually growing a second growth point. That's kind of nice. It's got really cute roots off the main growth, and of course it has that beautiful dark velvety foliage of the dark phoenix. Next is this Anthurium longissima lobum. I got it as a freebie, so it was never one that was really on my wish list, so I don't really have space for it or any plans. So I think now that it's put out a couple leaves in my care and it's got healthy roots, I'm probably gonna purge it next time I do a sale or something. Next up is this Anthurium cuneolense. So this is created, I believe, by Grant, and it's a cross of the PM, so Paul Marcellini, number 5 cunea, cross with the number 3 cunea from him as well. I got 4 seedlings from this cross. So I was looking for something pretty specific. I wanted a nice dark cunea. So I now have the other ones, so I've been taking props and they've all grown out really nicely. This was definitely the star grower. It grew so much faster and sized much better than the other 3. So I've been able to take a couple props of it, and hopefully very shortly these guys will be ready because they have nice roots. Yeah, nice roots and new growth, so very cute. Now we're talking about cuneolense, Ace of Spades x cuneolense from Justin Jones. And this is another time where I ordered a few extra seeds from the same batch because I had, some sort of combination of traits I was looking for. Yeah, so whenever I do, I like to get multiples of seed batches when I can. This one is really pretty. It's quite dark, and what's special about it is it's very narrow. This is definitely the narrowest by quite a bit of the batch. Just started acclimating to the nutrient solution. Should be darkening up even more with a little bit of time. And these guys again have such crazy roots. So they are definitely ready for a new home because they have to be up potted if I don't. And then the other one from this batch, which I think looks absolutely stunning, very pillowy and dark. This is again an Ace of Spades x cuneolense. Absolutely gorgeous. This leaf is still emergent, so it doesn't have the color quite yet. And it's fun because they're starting to get the petiole shape. Not too much, but you can definitely feel the cunea's texture. Again, absolutely beautiful. Big fan of these. It's gonna be hard to part with them, but I have to tell myself I don't need multiples of some of these guys. And I already am planning on keeping 2, so that's 1 too many already. Trying to work my way to the left. This one's fun. It's my own cross. This was a Pap x Bestiaaf. This seedling's pretty dark. It's very cute. It's been really fun getting to grow out a whole bunch of the same cross and sort of seeing the variety of traits show up. I've got a little rubber ducky in with it to remind me that this is one I've been looking at since one leaf, because even on its first leaf it came in noticeably darker than the other ones. So I sometimes put little things in the pots to remind me which seedling of the batch I'm keeping an eye on. Next up, we've got this Warocqueanum. I took a big butt of this one right here, which I think I'm also going to sell, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So anyways, I took a big butt of this plant right here when I gave it an up pot into this white pot. And when I did, I got, like quite a long chunk of stem. Pull it out. I'm going to just pull it out. I keep it in the cabinet back here. Anyways, I got a huge chunk of stem off the bottom of the plant. So, hold that up. I've been rooting and growing out queens. It just keeps popping more nodes. So it's been really great. Oops, I guess I should hold it up and make sure it focuses. I don't know if it is, but you can see the little green nodes right there. Yeah, I've been growing all these little... I removed all the roots and it's just had no issue continuing to shoot growth point after growth point since I moved it into the cabinet where it's at, like very, very high humidity. Anyways, this was the previous growth point that I removed. So it's rooted out the pot and it's started on its next leaf. So it is definitely ready for a new home. I don't need multiples. And anyways, like I said, I'm also selling, I think, this queen right here. Growing it out, it's been flowering very readily for me. I don't have space for the second queen right now. And I've tried, I think, close to 10 hybrids with it, and I've never had it successfully take. I know that's not uncommon, but it also didn't really take on individual flowers either. So there's not really much evidence of its ability to hybridize, whereas I know that's not the case with all queens. So I'm going to experiment with my other queen. And I don't know, if they're not yielding hybrids, I think it's more than 10 hybrids. I've tried so many times to make anything with this queen, including known, I'm trying to repeat, Dark Mama, so Pap Queen, all these other ones, and just not having any luck. So, like I said, I think I'm going to probably sell it on. It's working on a new leaf right now. I think right on the edge there. Don't want to pull it any further. But yeah, working on a new leaf. It's nice and big. It flowers readily. It's a huge plant and it grows really well, but I can't dedicate that much of my tent to a plant that I can't make hybrids with, because that's ultimately what I enjoy doing. Next, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to insert a picture of this plant because it's a Forgetii X Lux, and this little piece right here is doing the plant no justice. I've got the big mother plant of it in the tent. It's got absolutely dark purpley blue foliage. And yeah, it has a nice fused sinus. I'm a little concerned that I might be growing out of the fused sinus, just a tad. It's still mostly fused, but it started getting the mature lux. Just the peaks of the lobes have started developing. So I'll be interested to see how it continues into maturity. But I took a few cuttings of it. Little guy put out its first leaf. Should be pretty fast from here. I find once the first leaf is out, they usually take off. Next up is a division of my Pap Voldemort from Woohoo Tropicals. Yeah, I took 2 pieces when I up-potted it. Here is one of them. Been growing them out for a while now. I lost one of the leaves, but it thankfully didn't lose the growth point and it put out another new leaf. So it's pretty happy again. I don't know what else to say. It's a really pretty plant. I'll, again, insert another picture. I'm a big fan of it. And the cuttings, growing just as well as that mother plant, quite fast. And it's fun seeing the shape it was when I first got it, because I think this is pretty much the size leaf I got it from Woohoo. And it looks exactly like how it looked, which I know, obviously, it's like a division. But it's fun, again, seeing the very severe shape starting to come out. Next we got a Pap Bevep. This is a piece of the plant I got from Dustin. It's really pretty. The mother plant, I gave it root rot again. I've given this plant root rot probably 4 times now. Not the cutting, the mother plant. So I'm sure this cutting is going to catch the mother plant before too long. I've now given up on keeping it in pot. I moved it to tree fern mix to see if that does anything different. So I know Dustin grows it no problem, and it's one of the plants he uses in hybrids even. So I'm having issues with it. But yeah, it's a very cute little plant. Next up is another Lux hybrid. This is just like a complex hybrid crossed with luxurians. You know, pretty textured leaves. This is another just one of those cuttings I took probably when I was cleaning out the root ball on a repot. It's very well rooted. It's definitely ready to find a new home. Don't really have anything else to say about it. Here we have props from the Forgetty Eye. Got on that import. Yeah, not much to say. Just cute little Forgetty Eyes. One of them is Fusinus. It's kind of funny, the smaller one right here. A couple little plants growing off the chonk here. So once they're a bit bigger, I will probably divide them off the chonk. Usually once they've gone 2 or 3 of their own roots, and at that point they've usually got a leaf or 3, like 1 to 3 leaves, and then I can just take a little knife and cut them right off the chonk, and then I pot them into something small, like one of these pots, to let them root out in a pretty small environment where I can see. It doesn't have any good roots to show you. This one's got pretty crazy roots. Yeah, I let them root out in this small environment so I can keep a really good eye on it, and yeah, keep them in a bin while they're rooting out, and I find I don't really have many problems doing it that way. Next we've got the butt cut of a luxurians crossed with a crystal mag. Probably going to keep that. It's very pretty. Really enjoying how dark, almost bruised color the mother plant is. Again, I'll insert pictures. But here's the butt of it. I'm probably going to grow it out a little bit more. That's a cute little plant. And then next I'm going to talk about this Anthurium Wonder Boy. It's a prop of my mother plant again. I'll insert pictures. This one, it was a little bit slow to bounce back, but I'm very happy that it popped a leaf, and it looks like it might be doing another growth point. Yeah, and the mother plant is nice and very red, so it's cool to have a good little prop of that guy. I'm probably going to grow it for another leaf or 2, and then see if I can't remove it from this chonk and get it potted up and developing its own root system. The main reason I like to do that is I find if I leave it on this chonk, if you go to repot or anything, these roots will all rot, and it's just better for the plant long term if I let it get to a size that I can remove it, and then I remove it and it only has those fresh new roots, because they'll happily take to the new pots when you go to uppot it. Here's a rare one for the channel. Got this Alocasia, I'm trying to remember, is it Macrorrhiza Blizzard? I think that's what it was sold to me as. I'm not sure. I'm not very good with Alocasia IDs. I could be completely wrong. I like it. It's a very white with flecks of green, which is fun. But I've come to realize I'm just not an Alocasia person. I grew this off of a piece, piece of my of the plant I bought. That one is working on corms, so I'm probably going to keep it through a first corm harvest, just because I've never gotten to do that, and I think it'd be fun to potentially even do that here on YouTube and show, the corm process. But yeah, I think the Alocasia, I like the pink ones, but by and large I think Alocasia just aren't really for me. Next we've got a division of my Bessiaaf. I'll insert my other pictures. It's got a nice wide size for a Bess. Yeah, very healthy. This is an emergent leaf, that's why it's this color. Very happy. It bounced back quite quickly from being propped up when I uppotted it. Potted it and it's holding inflows and it was working on a leaf. The leaf failed, but the inflows held, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, it's just a very pretty Bessiaaf. Yeah, and if anyone in Canada is looking to breed with a slightly different Bessiaaf, let me know. You can snag this piece. Because I know I haven't seen too many other ones that resemble this Bessiaaf, so I'd love for other people who are going to make hybrids to have some to work with. Next, I need to talk about this little Halo Micans piece here. For a while there, I was growing it in the prop box, and it was really funny because I was pretty much getting 1 node per cell, and I was just staking the thing down along in a seedling tray. So I got a million props of it, and here's one of them. It was pretty funny. It looked like it was losing its variegation there for a minute, but after this leaf, it sort of came back pretty strong, and you're getting again, that leaf was actually after this one, but yeah, it's back to doing the nice skinny white mutated leaf shape that the Halo Micans is known for. While we're doing a phyllos, I may as well do the last phyllo. Got a piece of my El Chaco Red. Probably the last piece I'm gonna ever take. I had a nice big mother plant and I gave it a repot out of the pot. I was growing it in straight stratum in, like a square net pot, one of these square net pots. And I repotted it into one of these big white pots. And the whole thing rotted every root and like rotted its growth point, lost so many of the props. And I understand why people said they had a hard time propping it, because I will agree, whenever I repot them, I lose so much of the root. So now I'm like pretty careful, and this was my backup. Well, this was my backup because I repotted my main plant, which was just the biggest piece, to bounce back after having to prop the mother plant. And yeah, like I said, I'm so nervous about the choco that I actually kept a second one just in case my main one died. But now that the main one has bounced back and it's doing really well, really happy and healthy, I absolutely love the choco. Definitely one of those, or I should say Rubra juvenilum, definitely one of those philodendron that it just captured my heart. I like how it doesn't really need a pole, and it just is so well behaved and pretty. And the red backs to the leaves, I don't know. I feel like it's a very like anthurium coated philodendron. Just wrap it up and do the last of the non-anthurium while I'm here. Next up, we've got a piece of my Devon's Tie Aurea. I hope this leaf is mostly variegated. If you're having a hard time seeing the green, that's why. It's like green up here, green down the center. It's got this beautiful marbly leaf back here. And I've got this other prop of the same plant. So I took pieces, I propped my big mother plant of this guy a while back, and it's been really fun seeing all of the nodes grow out. I always love propping variegated plants, especially the marbly ones, because you can get such variety in appearances. Yeah, and one of the really nice things about this plant, I got lucky when I propped it, is the nodes were all on like super heavy banded striping. So lots of really good props out of it, coming in beautifully. Yeah, gotta find some homes for them. Let's grab the last ones out of reach. Here we've got a red crystallinum Wu 5 XL. So Wu 5 is just Woohoo Tropical's naming system to keep track of their mother plants. So this is the red crystallinum Wu 5 XL. It's getting some of those pretty red crystal traits, and you know, the white veins with the pink central ribbing and the nice dark foliage. Very cute. Probably gonna prop this guy. Now we can offer them a little bit cheaper. It's got nice red crystal traits. I grew a few of them, you know, hoping to get like a really strong red crystal characteristics. But you know, you're not guaranteed that with red crystals. And FYI, if you're growing them up. Okay, next up we've got this Magnificum crossed with Bevep. So I got two of these from Dustin. Very similar to the other one, like pretty hard to tell apart. Only reason I'm keeping the other one is it has a little bit more of that Bevep pebbling, and I think I quite like leaf texture. This one, I don't know, it's got such nice veins. It's hard. If I had space, I definitely would be keeping this one, just because I want to see how big a mag crossed with a Bevep gets. And fun fact, it did switch to cataphyll on this leaf. So this is a plant that is at cataphyll. That makes it even harder because I want to flower it and see what the flowers look like, but I'm completely out of space. The reason I am going through and showing off all these props and getting ready to clear them out is we are closing in on 500 plants, and that is simply way too many for me to keep track of. So I think it's time to do a little bit of a downsizing. Here we got an Ace of Spades. So this is a division of my Tuzula dark form. I'll insert a picture of which one. It's crazy dark, the mother plant. So this division is already starting to take on some really dark bluey tones. I'm dripping water everywhere trying to hold this up. And the best part is this division is on its second leaf, and it has the cute roots coming out of the growth. So it is going to be ready to be divided and off to a new home super shortly, probably as soon as it finishes hardening that leaf. That's coming out. I was originally going to grow this one to have a second mother plant of the Ace of Spades for holding berries, but I recently got a different Ace of Spades. So I think I'm going to make do with that one and sell on this piece. Next up we've got a Regardens Pap clone. So very pretty. This leaf shape is remarkable. I love how fat it is for some reason. I've noticed the Regardens, when it's small, the leaf shape varies wildly. Yeah, This leaf is nearly hard. I'd say it's at the phase where it's resaturating after like hardening down. It should darken up some. Next one is this Forgetii X Red Crystal from Woohoo Tropicals. I cut the butt off of this in the Propping the Rhodolantianum video. So the top cut, which is what this is, has now rooted an absolutely insane amount. It's trying to escape the pot. You know, the new leaf is on the way. So the plant is definitely did not flinch on being propped. And it's got, beautiful dark foliage with nice contrasting veins. The reason I'm going to rehome this one is I was hoping for a fused sinus, which it simply just doesn't get. And I got it at a pretty small seedling size, so you couldn't tell at that size. But I always love trying to find a fused sinus hybrid. Yeah, you can see. I don't know how the red's pulling through, but it's a very purpley red emergent. Okay, and then next up we've got a Queer Malence. Probably going to sell this one. I don't have the space for another large anthurium with this leaf shape, and I simply prefer the queens. They also grow better for me. There's not I don't hate the plant. I don't love the plant. It's just one of those things where as my tastes have changed as I've gotten into the hobby and I've switched much more to being into the breeding aspect, this one just isn't doing it for me anymore. And I think all of these leaves agree with my care. It was a bit of a rehab when I got it. It took it a while to get going. I had to start over with the roots and all that, and I had some ugly foliage for quite a while there, but it's nice to see it returning to being a very pretty plant. Second to last here, we got an Anthurium Regale. Don't have space for 2 Regale, and I have a Regale that I like the appearance of a little bit better. It's holding on to 3 leaves, which, if you know Regales, at this size I guess it's not that big of an accomplishment, but yeah, good roots, very well rooted plant. This is the most recent leaf, it's just finished hardening it. I have it up in pretty high light, which it seems to be enjoying. And like I said, I got a different Regale that I like a little bit better, and I think I'm going to be experimenting with moving that one to room humidity before too long. And I don't need a second Regale doing the same thing, and I'm not looking to make pure Regales or anything where I need a second one. I don't really have that many plans with Regale hybrids given how large the species is, and normally people prefer a little bit smaller of a plant. I know I certainly do. It makes it easier to keep something on a shelf or in a grow tent. Yeah. The Regale. Last plant, a little bit of a whirlwind video here. We've got this Crystal Mag, no ID. I purchased it as a Michelle, but the petioles and the traits simply don't match. Neither does the flower. The main reason I think I'm going to be purging it is it's seemingly, in my experience, sterile. The flowers stay receptive for months. I've tried pollinating them throughout all times, and it never produces pollen. The few times I've had a few, what looks like flowers take. However, they then rotted from the sites that looks like they were successfully pollinated. So no luck doing anything with it, and it never produces pollen, and the flowers stay receptive and drip everywhere for like I said, months. So it being a no ID and all those things doesn't really leave me with much desire to sacrifice or dedicate, however, whichever way you want to look at it, a third of a shelf in the tent to a plant that isn't going to produce any babies. Oh, this is an emergent leaf. Let's see. It's a very pretty dark plant, but it's not reproducing, and it's not what I purchased it as. What's the point in growing a plant like that? Okay, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. This, I think, concludes sort of the whirlwind tour of some of the props and plants I've been, working on and growing behind the scenes here. I thank you for watching. Have a good one.